Welcome to Optimal Timelines. My name is Sean, and this is going to be your May 2025 tarot reading for your North Node by sign and house. Now, if you're new to my channel, the reason I use the North Node in tarot readings as opposed to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant sign is that it's recognized in astrology that your North Node is your North Star. It's what you're here to learn, accomplish, and master in this lifetime. So it's much more relevant to your everyday life and much more accurate in tarot readings. Now remember, you're going to want to watch two readings, one for your North Node by sign and one for your North Node by house. Now, before we jump into the readings, May 2025 is set to be a very intense astrological month this year. What we have going on is, I would say the key word is power, personal power. The reason for that is that on May 4th, Pluto is set to go retrograde until October 13th. So may the force be with you. But it's all about personal power. So where we need to exhibit more personal power in our life, where our power may be taken away, but also where we can give up power and help other people to be powerful. Also adding into this month of power is we have on May 12th a Scorpio full moon. So it's set to be an intense month. So look wherever Pluto is in your chart and look what house it is. And that should be an area of life that you would want to focus on and ask yourself the questions about personal power. Where do you need to exhibit more? Where do you need to hold back? Anyway, with that, we're going to begin the readings. I'll connect to the energies. I call upon my spirit guides, guardians, and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see and hear these readings, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible, and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, North Node in Aries and or the first house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Two of Cups reversed. And when I saw this card, I was thinking of the word imbalance, okay? Remember, your South Node in Libra and or the seventh house, one of the key words of Libra is about balance. You know, the sigil for Libra is the scales, right? And so the thing I was thinking about this is that in the month of May, the first half, there's going to be an opportunity for you to look at relationships in your life where there are imbalances, okay? Imbalances of all sorts. Like, are you giving too much of yourself? Are you not putting enough into a relationship? But I think for a lot of you, based on your Libra, there's imbalances where you might not be getting out of certain relationships back what you put in, okay? But as I said, it could go both ways. But look at, there's going to be some things that are going to come up that are going to show imbalances. Now, the important thing is, that sounds easy enough, but it's important to recognize what those are, because one of the shadow sides of a Libra South Node is we could look at we can make excuses for imbalances in relationships with people, okay? Whether that be, it could be personal, romantic relationship, family, friends, or even work relationships. So you have to be able to recognize where that is. Now, your timeline cards, you've got the Ten of Swords reversed. You've got the Knight of Pentacles upright. And you've got the Ten of Wands reversed, okay? What I think is happening for most of you, and I think this is the good news, is I think most of you are going to start to recognize these imbalances. And with this Ten of Swords reversed, I feel like it's like the way it's going to happen is things are going to reach to a point in various relationships, that you're looking at. And this could even be a relationship with yourself, how you think and feel about yourself, because we can have relationships with ourselves also. And also, as I said, work or whatever it is we're doing. But I feel like you're going to get to the point where, it's reached its level of where it can go, kind of like the bottom line. And you can now it's time to transform it. And I think that's what you're going to realize. Now, for a lot of you, what's going to happen is it's going to feel like slow movement forward. You know, with this Knight of Pentacles, of all the knights, this is the slowest knight because the knights are cards of movement. But it's going to seem like some of you are going to be on different levels. Like I feel like some of you may feel like you're a little bit stuck or stuck in the mud, and you're not able to move as quickly out. But the key word is to recognize, okay? All of you are going to recognize and see imbalances. That's the first step. The second step is how to get out of it, okay? But it could feel like it's like slow moving. Now, the key is to kind of unburden yourself, okay, with this 10 of Wands. What do I mean by that? It means that you have to free yourself from, expectations. Like, for example, you have an imbalance with a relationship of a family member. Maybe they take too much from you, expect too much from you, and you're not getting back, what it is that you need from this relationship. And you finally realize that. Well, the burden is, for a lot of you, is it's hard to set boundaries. It's hard to say no. It's hard to, like, what are they going to think and feel? Are they going to not like me anymore or love me anymore or whatever? And so that's a burden that you carry, right? And so the key here is, once you recognize an imbalance, you have to unburden yourself and realize, look, remember one thing always about your North Node. This is a lifetime for you to get strong, to work on yourself. It doesn't mean selfishness in a bad way, but selfishness is actually not a bad word. It means that you need to make yourself strong and put yourself first, so you can be strong for those that you deeply care about. And so that's all this is when you unburden yourself and say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to live with this imbalance in this relationship. It's going to help free you up, okay? And that's what I see a lot of you are going to do. Now, to different levels. Some of you may be further along than others, but I feel like you're all going to make progress this first half of May. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Two of Wands reversed, and you've got the Queen of Swords upright. Now, the Queen of Swords, this is a card of you in your highest self South Node, okay? Because we do have lots of benefits and gifts that are found in our South Node sign and house. And for you, this is representing, your South Node is either, in either Aries or the 7th house. So this is you being able to essentially correctly judge things. And remember, this is about, Libra and the 7th house is all about balancing, right? But you have to make sure that your life, your world is balanced too. Because it's easy to say, oh, I want this to be balanced in my life outside myself. I want this to be balanced. You're always seeking balance, right? But the key here is seek it inside yourself, which is balancing that Aries North Node with that South Node. And I feel like this is where that your Libra side, your 7th house side, could come in, because you can use the scales of Libra and balance out and say, okay, I need to do this. I need to set boundaries. I need to be a little bit more like forceful. I need to put my needs as important as other people's needs too. And again, that's what this Two of Wands is saying. It's about, the Two of Wands reversed is about, what kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of world do you want to live in for your friends and your family? What kind of world do you want to create for yourself? Do you want to live in a world that is imbalanced, and maybe you're trying to balance out everything outside yourself, but do you want to live with the imbalance inside yourself? And so this is basically about working on creating the world that you want to live in, okay? But yeah, very, very powerful, transformative month for you, North Node in Aries and or the first house. So with that, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Taurus and or the 2nd house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Queen of Cups. And what I'm feeling like is, the court cards, the king, queen, page, and knight cards can represent actual people in our life or, situations or energies. And I feel like this is representing an actual person. I feel like it's representing you, but also someone else or some other like situation, in your life. And what I'm feeling like for the second half or the first half of May, I should say, is that there's going to be some very deeply emotional situation that's going to come up, and it's like it could be a triggering thing for you and also for the other person, and it's happening for a very specific reason. Now, one of the things that I'm feeling about this is that I feel like it's like an energy that, if you allow it, could kind of drag you into South Node energy, which is, your South Node in Scorpio or the 8th house. And remember, at the beginning of all of these videos, I was talking about the astrology, of May, and we've got, Pluto, which one of the planets that rules Scorpio in the 8th house, is going retrograde, right? And then also we have a full moon on the 12th of May, for in Scorpio. So I feel like this can be very kind of triggering in certain situations. But as I said, the positive is it's happening for a specific reason. It's getting you to pay attention to something, and a key word for you is transformation, because of, Scorpio and the 8th house is all about transformation. This is giving you an opportunity to transform something or some things in your life. Now let's look at your timeline. You've got the 10 of Swords upright. You've got the Star card upright, and you've got the Page of Pentacles reversed. So starting here with the 10 of Swords, this is something to where this situation is bringing something to a head, where it's at the level to where, something that needs to be done about it. It's reached its final limit. Okay. Now this could be in a personal relationship, family, friends, romantic relationship. It could be a work situation, or even multiple ones. Okay. But I feel like it's reached its end here, and it's going to be this kind of triggering that happens. I'm feeling really strongly too that I feel like it's going to be like one person in particular, for you. Okay, it's going to be like you and this other person type of a thing that just keeps kind of coming up, and they could be, highly emotional also. Okay, now the reason I said it's a positive is because it's getting you to look at this relationship, or in some cases multiple areas, and it's a karmic thing. It's something to where this is part of the evolutionary process for you North nodes in Taurus and or the second house. Okay, so the Star card is saying, like, look, this needs to happen in order for transformation to take place. Like, for example, whenever we feel like we need to transform something in our life, right? So I use this example from time to time. Let's say that we want to, make more money in our life, right? Or we want to say, I'm going to finally get healthy. I'm going to eat good, get in shape, and all of that. Okay, use those two examples. What has to happen is we get to the point of we're not going to go any further with that. Okay, so we finally say, that's it. I'm going to, eat right and exercise, or I want to make more money. I'm going to, get further my education. I'm going to put my resume out there. I'm going to really, or do something at my current job. Okay, but you get to the point where it doesn't just all of a sudden you just wake up and just go, okay, well, I'm going to take a walk and, oh yeah, I guess I'll just transform. No, it's like usually transformation happens after some sort of, like the great astrologer Jeffrey Wolf Green said, after some sort of a cataclysmic event. Okay, and that doesn't even necessarily have to sound bad like cataclysmic, but just something to where it reaches its full level. Okay, and so that's why this is karmic, is because it's getting you to transform this area of your life. Now, the reversed Page of Pentacles is saying this. What it is this is trying to kick you more into your North node in Taurus or the second house, which is to live a life that is more connected to, your body, to the earth, to enjoyment, to gratitude, to getting out of like drama and coming into just like living your best life and living, in some cases, a more streamlined life, going for your goals. This is also about becoming a strong individual away from, because when you have this, away from certain people that may be dragging you down. Because when you have this North Node in Taurus and or the second house, because of that Scorpio 8th house influence in the South Node, there could be instances where it's hard to become a full-fledged individual in a way because you always feel like there's pulling, and this lifetime is about really becoming strong as an individual and moving forward in that. It doesn't mean no relationships. It just means that you have to be an individual and forge ahead while you're keeping yourself strong, but like not letting other things pull you back in other relationships. That's all this is saying. And so this is going to be the big challenge, but this is something that is not, I don't feel like it's going to happen. This is the beginning stages of doing this. So I think for a few of you, you may get it, and this card may be upright for you, where you're like, okay, I'm fully kicked into my Taurus, second house mode. But for a lot of you, it's going to be a process. Now, what can help you on this process of transforming into this, higher version of Taurus in the second house? Well, we'll look at your advice cards. You've got the Knight of Wands upright, and you've got the 10 of Pentacles reversed. We'll start with the 10 of Pentacles. I feel like, this card, one of the main meanings of it is it's family legacy. It could mean like family legacy when it comes to, money, finances, property, wills. But think of like, think of a family that is very intertwined with interpersonal, like deep interpersonal personalities and relationships, and there's money and property involved. Okay. What this is saying, like, this is basically, even if there's not a lot of like money or resources involved, it's very deep, strong, like family ties. But in a kind of a negative way, right? Where they're like doing things because living your life for your family, for example, like doing things and living your life because you think it will be accepted by my significant other, by my children, by my mother and father, by my brothers and sisters, or even by the company I work for. It's being held to like some sort of a tradition. And that's what this is. It's about what is it that you need? What is it that you want? And if you find yourself like, if you've ever found, and I know I asked this to a lot of people that have North Node in Taurus or the second house. Have you ever wanted to do something, start a business, start a new career, go somewhere, do something, make changes in your life, and you thought about doing it, and then also one of the things that came up in your mind was, well, how are they going to think and feel about it? How are they going to react to me doing that? Okay, that's the kind of energy I'm talking about. You have to live your life for you. And if you find yourself questioning, well, what are they going to think about this or whatever, then you're not on the right track. Okay, you need to do things like independently. Okay, that's what part of this is about. Now, what's going to help you is inspiration. Okay, that's going to be the key here. It's what is going to inspire you to move forward. Because before we embark on anything, there has to be, after some sort of a situation, like some sort of a dramatic, cataclysmic event, and we begin to make changes, as I said, where in the examples I gave earlier, where do we go from there? We have to then get inspiration to move forward. And so what you want to do is you want to see like, where are your areas of inspiration? What is going to, because the inspiration is the energy and the fuel that's going to push you forward. Where is it that you feel kind of energized? Okay. And it's important, as I said, to not worry about what others think or what others are going to think. If you are inspired to do it, to say it, to live it, then that's what you need to do. But yeah, by doing this, the second half of May here, or the first half, I should say. I always say second half. But I think I've said this twice, so I really think that this is going to apply not only for, the first half of May, but all of May and, on forward. Okay. So this is a very important thing. This message is coming in that this is an ongoing process, right? But whenever this relationship comes to a head, you're going to know that there's something that needs to be transformed within that. Okay. And that may mean becoming independent for a while from this situation. And the pull here is not to let yourself be sucked in and go back into, kind of dramatic situations that aren't really enhancing your life. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Gemini and or the third house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Lover's card upright. And I think that the situation for the first half of May is going to involve a situation where it has to do with, for many of you, your romantic partnerships, okay? But the Lover's card, even though a lot of times it does mean romantic partnerships, it can also mean other relationships in our life. Relationships where there is, a very deep love and bond. Like, for example, the Two of Cups could also be, like friendships and, significant others. But this is like a deep bond. This could even be, as I said, friendships, or even like a deep bond with parts of your life like work. But I think the majority of you are going to experience this through your partnerships, your romantic partnerships. And what's going on here is, we'll get some clarity here on the timeline cards. We've got the Page of Pentacles upright. We've got the Knight of Wands upright. We've got the Star card reversed. So the situation here is showing with the Page of Pentacles, it's really showing you, I think that there's an opportunity here, and this is a positive thing, where you are appreciating the value in certain relationships around you, particularly your partnerships or very close relationships, where you're seeing the value. And I feel like there's an opportunity for them to see the value in you. This is actually very, very positive. I feel like this is like a move forward for a lot of you, where even if the relationship has issues, it's kind of like, a lot of times what happens is, like, let's say you have a relationship that, you have been having problems and challenges and issues. Sometimes if you step back, there's always like love and connection there. And sometimes when you kind of hit the rewind button and you step back and you say, what is it that I really do still love about them? Or, what do I value in them, that type of a thing. And that's very helpful. And even though it's like you're taking several steps back because there might have been, some, nasty things that were said or done, but when you step back and you say, wait a minute, I still care about them deeply and I value in them. But I feel like this is going to be something to where you're recognizing the value in really close relationships around you, and they're recognizing that in you. There may be a few of you to where you could have this kind of process, this epiphany process, where you may look at that and you may say to yourself, okay, wow, like, what is it that I value in this relationship? Okay. And you may question it. Maybe it's not as much or great as you thought. And that can be very telling. And that could give you a lot of information where you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I don't value it as much as I used to for whatever reason. But this is a chance, as I said, to kind of step back. But I think for a lot of you, I feel like there is this appreciation that's going to happen both ways, where people are going to see like what you do in these relationships and what you bring of value. The reason that this is happening is here of this Knight of Wands. Wands are about, fire. They're about inner fire. They're about inspiration. They're about passion. And what I feel is happening for a lot of you North Nodes in Gemini and or the third house is there's this like renewal process coming in. Like you want to get back to a place where you once were as a person. You want to get back to this whole situation of you kind of honoring yourself and honoring your life. And there's this new inspiration that's coming. And essentially what this is like you having the ability um, to want to change yourself and to go back and to bring out these parts that may have been lost to you. And I feel like there are partnerships around you that are going to recognize that they're going to recognize that this newfound kind of inspiration that's happening within you, and that's going to become, that can be very attractive, okay? Because wands are about passion and attraction. And so I feel like, you are recognizing changes within the relationships around you, and they're also recognizing that in you. Now, the star card reversed is saying that the key here is to really go with this process, because the star is a great card reversed and or upright, but this is a process to where you want to make sure that you follow through with this, and you want to go through and make sure that you are truly assessing the value in these relationships and that they are kind of giving that back to you, because this is something that's very kind of karmic on your path. And if it's done like kind of halfway, where it's not quite complete, it could make this kind of, you're not taking full advantage of the energies is kind of what I'm feeling with this. And so you want to take full advantage as you start looking at relationships around you. You want to make sure that you are taking full account of the value that these relationships are bringing to you, and making sure that they know what you bring to the table also. And I think most of you are going to do that, but just realize that it's something that is important for this kind of karmic path forward. Now, some more detail on this as far as the star card we can get in the advice cards. You've got the Six of Swords reversed, and you've got the King of Swords reversed. Now, the King of Swords is saying like how the reason that this is going to happen is I feel like a lot of you are going to drop mental structures that could have been blocking certain relationships in your life. And I feel like they are too, because we can get like kind of, we don't even realize it, but we can get mentally stuck in relationships where, the way I look at a relationship is like, think of when you do those little like mazes, right? You start here and then there's this maze and you try to solve the puzzle. And, when you start here, it's very different than when you end up over here. Okay. But we assess the relationship from where we're at right at the moment. Okay. And I feel like what's going to happen is that both people that are around you and you yourself are going to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to judge this relationship for like where I'm at right now and where I've been, but I'm going to go back to the start and say like, okay, where did we start? Okay. And that's what this is saying is you're kind of dropping this mental stuckness of where you're at now and having the ability to be flexible and kind of go back into the past. And the reason I'm saying that is because you have this reversed Six of Swords. Normally this card is about moving away from troubled waters, okay, but it's moving away from something mentally. But when the card's reversed, it could be the boat's going around in circles or going backwards. In this case, it's going backwards. But this is a positive for you, because what you're doing is you're in this boat with this relationship or relationships, and you're in this storm and you're like, wait a minute, we're going to turn this boat around and we're going to go back to the beginning. Okay. We're turning this whole thing around and we're going to go back and we're going to get our bearings from there. And then when you do that, as you're moving away from where you're at now mentally, that's how you go back and you're inspired and you're like, oh, now I understand what it is I saw in this person or in this company or whatever it is, okay, in this relationship in your life. And they're going to do the same, because when you do that, it's almost like it's going to be kind of mirrored back to you, okay? And so I just feel like this is the energy. So this is very positive. This is really a positive reset for certain relationships in your life. And if it doesn't go down like this with certain relationships, that's where that star card comes in, that, relationships go to a certain level and they either transform in a good way or they don't, and that's fine, okay? But that, again, you don't want to get mentally stuck like, I'm going to try to force this square peg into a round hole, and sometimes, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, right? So that you need to recognize that, and that's part of getting unstuck. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart or your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Cancer and or the 4th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Knight of Wands. Now, all of the Knight cards are cards of movement. They're cards where, you are going somewhere. Now, the fastest of all the Knights is the Knight of Swords. And, Swords refers to the intellect and our thinking ability. What I'm thinking here for the first half of May is that you're being asked, you North Nodes in Cancer or the 4th house, you're going to have this change of direction, okay? You are being asked to go in a different direction than where you're going right now. And the way this is going to happen is there's going to be something that is going to occur to you. It could be a situation that brings it, or it could just be having this kind of just realizing something in your life, and it's something you need to change direction in some area of your life. And I feel like for a lot of you, it has to do somewhere within your relationships. Things have to change. You're going to take a new direction. And I'm seeing that for a lot of the North Nodes this month as far as relationship things. So there's going to be this change of directions. For some of you, it's like almost like I'm feeling like there needs to be this stop. Okay, we need to stop where we're going before we change directions, figure out where we're at. So on your timeline cards, you've got the Page of Swords upright. You've got the Judgment card upright. You've got the Knight of Cups upright. Now, the Page of Swords, this is a card of not only communication, but it's of vigilance. It's like paying attention to communication that comes from within and around you, okay? Paying attention to things, being vigilant, because this is where you're going to realize that there's this something that kind of needs to change and transform, and you need to go in a new direction. What I mean by that is sometimes, we've all experienced the fact where you're somewhere. You could be at work, you could be dealing with, some person in a personal relationship, and all of a sudden, they say something, and you're like, and it's like this ding, 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 ding. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. And it kind of changes everything for better or for worse. But what it is that it's a significant communication that comes in. And this can also be all of a sudden having, internally like a realization. But I think that this first half of May, you want to pay attention to these type of things that are like something that could be like a turning point in some sort of communication, in a text, in an email, something someone says. You could overhear it, okay? But this is one of the things that's going to help you kind of transform. Now, what's talking about this also is this Judgment card upright, because, this is a card of, basically the universe trying to communicate with us things, something or things, and we need to pay attention. There's something that we are not aware of and that we need to find out. And so I feel like what's happening here is that on the grander scale, not only internally are you paying attention, but I think that the universe is really trying to kind of wake you up in certain areas of your life in order to change direction. And the direction change may feel weird, but it's actually going to be very positive. So what does that mean? Pay attention to things that you are thinking and you feel deeply, to communication around you, things you hear, and even like things that just occur to you. Process them and think about them, because this could help you in making these decisions. But I think that this is also going to be something that's going to let you know, wait a minute, I have to change direction in a certain area of my life. And as I said, it's most likely going to be some sort of a relationship situation. Now, where it's headed is actually very positive. Okay, so as I said earlier, with this Knight of Swords, the Knight of Cups upright, all knights are cards of movement. And really what the Knight of Cups is saying, that this is an emotional renewal for you in your life, where it's almost like you've been through something or some things, and it's like, I'm going in a new direction, but it's like this, like a rebirth of you emotionally that's in a positive new direction. This is like parts of yourself that you either were buried deep within you or you didn't know existed, are going to start to come out emotionally. But more importantly, what this is saying is that you're realizing, when you think of a knight, right? You think of, what do knights have? They have weapons. The Knight of Wands has the wand, right? The Knight of Swords has the sword, right? And the Knight of Pentacles has a pentacle, right? But that is also like a shield, right? So, because like money and resources can also be like, not necessarily a weapon, but they can be like a shield, right? But what does the Knight of Cups have? The Knight of Cups just has a cup, their emotions, their heart. But what you're realizing is that is one of the most valuable resources, weapons, that you could have, okay? And when I say weapon, it means of something that is useful to you, right? Being able to have these, deep, strong emotions that you're comfortable with and that, you can use in a practical way. How can that happen? Well, to have emotional intelligence, the reason why it is probably one of the most powerful things you could possess is that when you have an emotional intelligence, you could walk in a room that you pick up on what's going on underneath the surface. What people are saying, you're not just taking at face value. You can read under the radar. You know what's going on at a deep emotional level. It gives you insight into things that are hidden from the average person. And so that's really where you're headed, is you're realizing that essentially the reason that this is the awakening of these gifts in you is that you're seeing this within yourself, and that could be the message that is coming in, where you're finally listening to this internal, GPS system that you have that's trying to get you to change directions, and this is all stemming from your emotions, right? Now, the advice cards are, you've got two here. You've got the Eight of Cups reversed, and you've got the Lover's card. Really what this is saying is that the Eight of Cups is saying that I don't feel most of you are needing to leave relationships that you're in right now. And that could be romantic partnerships, family, friends, work. I don't feel like, because this is about, upright, this is about leaving, right? But this is reversed. It's saying like, what you're doing right now, this is a process of reevaluating, reassessing, and writing new contracts with your current relationships. So I don't feel like, there could be rare instances where there's certain relationships where you may become aware of that you need to kind of leave. I don't feel like that's for most of you, but for most of you, it's about assessing your current relationships and working within them. You're still trying to make sense of them. And that's also bearing out with this Lover's card upright. You're needing to work on that. And really the work that needs to happen and the transformation is within yourself. And that's the big takeaway from this reading is that this change of direction is coming from within you. And this is your personal emotional power. Because, the reason I say that is because one of the things that can happen, and we see this a lot in life, we're all, guilty of it, where we have an issue in our life, either with a relationship or some sort of a situation, and we feel that the answer is to say bye and leave. That's how we want to solve it, and we're all guilty of this. But as opposed to just, okay, let me work through this. And that's what this card is saying. So I feel like for most of you, this is about really working through this. And what you're leaving is you're leaving parts of the challenging parts of yourself behind as you're kind of transforming within yourself. But yeah, wow, very, very powerful first half of May for you. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Leo and or the 5th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Hermit card reversed. And when I saw this card, this card has lots of, deep meanings, but one of the meanings is it's about a perspective of wisdom, of seeing things in your life from this position of like taking the higher road. That's one of the key phrases that comes out for me with this card is, being able to take the higher road. It doesn't necessarily mean even people that, have not that much experience in life or in past lives, can have this card come up where they kind of take the higher road. And what wants to happen here is that it's almost like there's this, a lot of you have actually taken the high road too many times, or to rephrase that, you are detached from you're so far above situations in your life that there's this detachment from it. Okay. And when we think of like the hermit, okay, let's take like an archetype of the wise man who lives in a cave on the mountain, right? There is wisdom there, and lots of people go there to seek wisdom. But there's no doubt that the wise man is detached in lots of ways from everyday reality, from, raising kids and having a mortgage and a job, and from, living life and, personal relationships. Now, we need that archetype. We need wise women and wise men in the world. Okay, that archetype's very important. But there is, like everything else, there is a negative side where someone can detach from the world in a way to escape it. Okay, and that's what I feel like is happening, where you're being asked to come down from the mountain and from the detachment of the mountain and kind of get into life, get into your life. Okay, now we'll get some more clarity when we look at these timeline cards. So we've got the King of Wands reversed. We've got the Seven of Pentacles reversed. And we've got the Tower card reversed. Now, the King of Wands, this is referring to you. This is referring to your North Node in Leo and or the 5th house, because all of the wands rule the fire signs, including Leo. And I feel like what this is saying is that you're finally starting to realize, a lot of you, that like you need to come down off that detachment of that mountain and get into life, get into, your passions, what's driving you, what is it that, you truly want, get into going inside yourself, and what is it that really inspires you. Okay, all of these things want to come up, and I feel like that there's an opportunity this first half of May to do that. And the way it's going to happen is through two things. We're going to look at these two cards here. You got the Tower reversed and you've got the Seven of Pentacles reversed. I feel like a lot of you are going to be like to the point where, okay, you're impatient with the way your life is going. Okay, that's the Seven of Pentacles reversed is about an impatience. Things aren't growing and going the way that you want, and that's a good thing to realize. And so there's this thing where, okay, I'm not going to be patient with this anymore. And I feel like going along with that is this Tower card reverse, which is kind of like what you could call like a minor like shock. Okay, so the Tower could, when it's upright, could be this like major cataclysm or thing that happens in your life. When it's reversed a lot of times, and I feel like in this case it's like some kind of minor thing, but it's still a shakeup. It's still something that kind of like wakes you up. And it could be something that happens within a situation or happen within yourself where you're just like, okay, enough's enough. Like, I need to make changes in my life. I want, and the key is with this situation is it is within you. It's about getting into that like Leo North Node or fifth house, which is life it should be, fun. I mean, yes, we need to overcome challenges, but can we look at life like a game? Okay, a challenge happens and how can I solve it type of a thing? Because if you look at people that, are kind of very successful with a Leo North Node or North Node in the fifth house, they do kind of live life like even when challenges come up, it's like a challenge of, you could think of a Leo North Node, for example, as like wanting to climb Mount Everest. I mean, that's a huge challenge, right? But a challenge comes up and then the thrill and the gift is actually doing it, something to that effect. Okay. So you're looking at it as like a challenge is like something that you live for type of a thing. But yeah, I feel like there could be this like, minor kind of shakeup that happens that is kind of stirring this. And you're realizing that like, you're just impatient. Like, I'm not going to put up with what I've been putting up with in my life, and it's time to kind of change. And part of that, as I said, coming down off the mountain and kind of getting into life more, like becoming a player in your life, not detached anymore, like really kind of get in and find out what's driving you or what isn't driving you. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Knight of Cups upright and you've got the Page of Swords. And I feel like the Page of Swords is that this is something about vigilance, about paying attention to something in your life. This is realizing something, but paying attention. Now, what are you paying attention to? What are you being vigilant to see? What it is emotionally, what is driving you? What is inspiring you? Where do you feel the best? Okay, so this is a very, very important advice card. How you know you're on the right track is, like, let's say you're in a certain job or doing a certain thing, or you're in a relationship, or you're doing whatever. If it doesn't make you feel emotionally good or fulfilled, doesn't necessarily mean don't do it. Okay, you got to because there's lots of things like, I mean, obviously it doesn't make us feel good to have to go to the post office or to, pay a bill. Okay, it doesn't mean do it, but it means just to look at it and say, like, so for example, let's say that this certain friendship, you look at it and you're like, you know what? What is it doing for me? It doesn't make me feel good or fulfilled. And you just start to look at it, right? And the same thing is, like, you might say, anything that doesn't make you feel good. Again, like I said, maybe, paying a bill. Okay. It doesn't make you feel good. Okay. That's fine. You stop and say, okay, I don't really like paying this bill. Okay. Well, do I need to maybe get rid of some streaming platforms? Okay. That could be it. Or is it that, what? I just don't like paying bills. None of us do, but I have to do it. But see, at least you went through the process of analyzing it. So that's what you want to do, is you want to be vigilant and go through different aspects of your life. Look at relationships, things you're doing, what things you're not doing. Are they inspiring you? Are they emotionally fulfilling? But more importantly, you want to start going and searching for what is emotionally fulfilling to you. And if you don't have that much, that's your quest, okay? The Knight of Cups is about going on a quest and finding out what it is that is going to fulfill you emotionally, okay? And when you begin to do that, I feel like this month, this is going to get you back into life and from being kind of detached from certain aspects of your life, because there is a certain safety and comfort from, detachment. I get it. But it's time to now kind of face things, come down off that mountain and get into life and find out what is emotionally fulfilling to you. And I feel like there's going to be an opportunity where there's going to be some things that are going to kind of awaken you into that. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Virgo and or the 6th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the 4 of Cups upright. And when I saw this card, a lot of you could be feeling like you're trying to solve something emotionally in your life. You're trying to make sense of it. There could be this, like, maybe you're distraught about some element or area of your life, emotionally. And what I'm thinking here is that there is an incomplete picture. Like, you're not quite seeing things fully. It's almost like when we have, you know, the element of like Virgo versus Pisces, right? So your North Node's in Virgo or the 6th house, and we have Pisces in your South Node or in the 12th house. One of the key, polarities when you're dealing with those two signs and houses, um, you're dealing with the big, huge perspective, and you're dealing with hyper focusing at the complete other end, right? So Virgo, being hyper focused, has the ability to do that, as opposed to Pisces in the big picture. And so what can happen is that if we have too big of a perspective, we can miss things because we're trying to see too much. We can't really focus in on certain areas of our life. But if we hyper focus, yes, we're focused on one area, like this person is here emotionally, but they're not seeing other things, around you. So I feel like the first half of May, what this all is that I think that a lot of you are looking at things emotionally, and you're either getting a bigger perspective or you're needing to focus more into something emotionally because you're missing it. And that's the key of why things may not be exactly feeling right or clicking emotionally in your life, because it's something that you aren't seeing emotionally. You're not understanding it yet, okay? Now, your timeline cards, you've got the Sun card reversed, you've got the Queen of Cups upright, and you've got the Page of Swords reversed. So starting with the Sun card, as I always say in my readings, is a positive card when it's reversed. It's one of those cards that's also positive in its reverse state. But I always like to explain it like, think of on a really sunny day when all of a sudden a cloud cover comes over. You could be at the beach or something, or in the outdoors, and all of a sudden a cloud cover comes over the sun, and everything gets dark and kind of cold for a bit, right? Now, when that cloud cover moves away, we've all experienced that, all of a sudden it's sunny again. That's what the sun reversed is the sun never went away. It's just being obscured. And this is going along with this 4 of Cups here. There's something that you're not seeing. It's there, but you're not seeing it because it's being obscured, in this case, emotionally, right? Now, how are you going to see what's being obscured? That's where this Queen of Cups comes in. Now, the Queen of Cups is referring to your South Node in Pisces or the 12th house in your highest state. Because remember, in our South Node, there are also, benefits. There are lots of strengths in there, and there's positives. And sometimes we need to tap into our South nodes by sign and house to, tap tap into those gifts, right? And that's what this is saying. This is your Pisces or 12th house, south node, higher self. And what it's saying is that the way you're going to get through this is through your intuition. So it's not just perspective of Pisces seeing the big picture and connecting with everything in the universe, or Virgo, which could be hyper focusing. What you're doing instead is you're going within yourself and you are using the gifts, because everybody that has a south node in Pisces and or the 12th house, I guarantee you has intuitive gifts. And that's what this is saying, that you're going to make sense of things emotionally in your life when you follow your intuition. And that's where this is kind of, play into you understanding what's going on emotionally. Now, the Page of Swords reversed is saying that it's important that the reason that you maybe got into this emotional state in some aspect or aspects of your life is because you weren't paying attention. You weren't being vigilant and really following your intuition. Maybe you kind of denied it or sloughed it off and said whatever. But it's time for you to really tap into that, because that's one of the main gifts that you're bringing in from your south node by sign and house, is you're really bringing in that intuitive guidance, okay? And when you do that, that's going to help you to make sense of things kind of emotionally. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Ace of Swords reversed, and you've got the Hermit card reversed. So yeah, this is referring to, there's aspects of your intuition that you've allowed to be detached from. And maybe you're kind of, because sometimes it could be overwhelming, like you're getting so much information from, psychically or intuitively. A lot of times what people do with this kind of placement is they shut it off. So it's like, oh, this is too much info, too much data. I'm going to just turn that knob off, right? And that's what this is saying is that it could be like, I'm going to detach from things. But when you detach, what this Hermit reversed is saying is that you're cutting yourself off from a higher wisdom. Okay, so that's why your intuition is connecting you to your highest wisdom. And when you detach from it, because you have to learn how to listen to it and control it, but not let it overwhelm you. When you don't detach from it, that's where you'll be able to tap into this. And then the Ace of Swords again is saying that when you turn off the volume, turn down the volume or turn off the faucet of your intuition, what happens is then you start to go into your logical mind. You begin to just analyze things and go and look at things from a very kind of, position of your mind and analyzing and, structure of the mind, as opposed to going within. Now you have to have a balance, okay? And that's what this is also saying. You have to balance between knowing things intuitively, but knowing when also to use the gifts of your perception, okay, which is Virgo, which is looking at things in a very organized way. So it's like they can go hand in hand. You have an intuitive hit that comes in, okay, now you need to make sense of it. So now you tap into that Virgo North node and like, let's look at it. I have this information that came in intuitively. Let me like make sense of it. Let me organize it, okay? And that's where the gifts of this, Virgo North node or 6th house North node could come in. But essentially what it is if you're feeling a little bit distraught emotionally in certain aspects of your life, realize it's something that you're just not understanding. And there is positive there, but you have to unravel it. And where the answer is going to be for each of you in your intuition. Tap into that intuitive guidance, then use your Virgo North node or 6th house North node to organize it and make sense of it. And when you have that, when you learn how to do that, when you learn how to keep that, intuition and psychic ability open and then organize it with Virgo, I mean, that's an incredible gift to have to kind of navigate life with. But yeah, anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Libra and or the 7th house. Okay, interesting. The theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Nine of Wands. And when I saw this card, I was thinking about a key word for you is the past, but particularly past battles, past challenges, things that came up, not only in relationship situations, but just, challenges in general from the past. And one of the big meanings of this card is, like learning from past experiences. You could see on the card that, the person is standing with the wands and the bandage around the head, which is showing that, this person's been through lots of challenges and battles, but the key is when do we learn from our challenges? Because, I think we can all relate to the fact that, we've been guilty of it in our own lives, but we've also seen it in other people too, where, they go through things and it's like, it could be a friend that you had and they're like, why are they repeating the same patterns? Because a lot of times, honestly, it's easier to see patterns and things in other people than it is in ourselves, And so what's happening the first half of May is that you're going to be reviewing the past a lot. And I feel like you already have been doing that. Like there's been a lot of you, I feel like, have been having dreams or just thinking about the past, kind of, and that's important. It is good to look toward the future, but it is also good to kind of look back to see where we've been and to see how we can learn from our past. And I guess that would be the key of this, right? Well, let's get some clarity here. We'll look at your timeline card. So you've got the Judgment card reversed. You've got the King of Cups reversed. And you've got the Queen of Wands reversed. So we'll start with the Judgment card here reversed. Okay, this is a card of awakening, of being woken up to something that you weren't aware of, okay? Something to where, particularly because you can see that, there's a representation of this archangel on the top blowing the trumpet, Gabriel, it's waking up to something because the universe, your universal guides want you to know something, want you to learn something. And when it's reversed, it's like not really hearing the call. And that's why this review process is so important, because if we can be honest about our past and honest about our present, and we can look at it and that's, like it's a very clear thing in our mind that we know what happened and why things happen, we can keep from repeating the same mistakes and same patterns. And so I feel like for a while now, this review process has been going on with you North Nodes in Libra, the 7th house, and how you can make changes. Now, this month in particular, what you're learning is, I think that these two cards here, the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups, both reversed, is two parts of yourself. The Queen of Wands is referring to, obviously, your South Node in Aries, right? And or the 1st house, is that you've got these instincts, okay? You've got these drives, you've got these natural instincts that come in. And are they always helping you in the best way possible? And then you've got this other side of yourself to where, like, I know a lot of people over the years that have a South Node in Aries, and I've heard them being described. For example, one mother described her son who had a South Node in Aries and couldn't understand why he grew up to be a certain way, like kind of the more negative side of Aries, very combative. But she described him as he was always so sensitive. He was always so sensitive. And here's the interesting thing. When she means sensitive, what she means really is what she was talking about was he was sensitive, he was touchy. Because when he was a child, he was very overly sensitive and touchy if someone did something or said something wrong. So it wasn't the kind of sensitivity that was a good sensitivity as we think of it, meaning that you know, when we are sensitive to other people's emotions, sensitive to their needs, to their wants and their desires, as opposed to kind of being touchy, like, oh, don't step on my toes type of a thing. And that's a very reactionary, sensitive thing. So you can be sensitive. Now, I understand this energy because although I don't have my South Node in Aries or the first house, I do have my Pluto placement in the first house, okay? And so I understand this energy very well. And it's something that I've had to kind of, learn. Pluto acts very much, the planet Pluto placement acts very much like our South Node. And so what it is that you have to learn to say, like, okay, not be reactionary. Like, you have this instinct where it's this instinct of protection and of standing up for yourself, which is good. But then you also have to have this, okay, am I seeing this correctly, or am I just being reactionary? And so I think what's happening here is that there's the first half of May, you're replaying things that have happened. And I want you to ask yourself, like, are there times to where you might have done things differently? And I think that it's going to come to the forefront. Now, likewise, I think that these cards also refer to a specific person in the past that is going to come up, where, in other words, they triggered this in you and you're going to replay that. And I think that there's this learning thing that can go on, because remember, you have these gifts of Aries and the first house, but they have to be balanced with the peacemaker in Libra. And so this review process, when you finally get it, if you can look at your past honestly and say, okay, I understand this is what happened. And then when you go through something similar again, if you can kind of pass that test, you're letting the universe know, okay, I get it. I understand what has occurred for me, and I understand why things have played out in a certain way. Now, your advice cards are, you've got the Four of Swords here reversed, and you've got the Three of Swords upright. Now, what's causing this to occur, this replay of things, is particularly old hurts, okay? Old hurts and old wounds. And that is the catalyst of what's kind of bringing all of this up for you, where you're thinking about things that have happened in the past. There could be a current situation that is also kind of triggering it. And what can be really healing for you is, remember, the planet that you are trying to move towards is the planet Venus. You're moving away from the negative side of Mars. So where is it that you can be, the peacemaker in your life? And I always tell this to all my North Nodes in Libra and or the 7th house is, remember that it takes way more strength to be able to be the one that says they're sorry first, be the one that gives in, be the way. Now, it doesn't mean being a doormat, but just allowing yourself to be wrong, allowing yourself to laugh something off, having the strength to, maybe something did get under your skin, but when you don't react to it, you take some deep breaths and all of that, okay? Having that and doing that takes so much more strength than how we normally think of strength in the modern world, which is the very Mars way. Like, I'm going to walk around with a big stick, like you see this in lots of people with the bravado that goes on. You see this within countries. No one's going to mess with me, It's very gangsta-like, you know what I mean? And it takes way more intelligence and way more strength to be able to be the one that is the peacemaker. And, this is something that, people that have their North Node in Aries are actually learning the opposite. They're actually learning to be more, more strong, right? But you have the opposite thing where you're learning to be the peacemaker. And what you're going to end up with, and the value in this, okay? The value in this is that two things happen. When you get this, when we follow our North Node, your life will improve. It'll get better and better and better the more you do this. Now, it's not easy, because we're going against our natural instincts. But when we try to do this and we're approaching our North Node with sincerity, we will see improvement in our life. And that is the real value in doing this. You're not doing it for nothing. But I'm not going to be the one to tell you here that it's easy, because it isn't easy. But just to become aware of it, where can you be the peacemaker, and where can you learn from, you know, these past things that have gone on? Because when you do that, you won't repeat those same patterns. Okay, so there's a learning there, and that's kind of what the universal energies kind of want you to do this first half of May. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart or your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Scorpio and or the 8th house. Okay, interesting. The theme card that popped out for you for the first half of May is the reversed Knight of Cups. And looking at this reading in this card, I'm feeling like this is a very transformative month for you, North Nodes in Scorpio and or the 8th house. There's like movement forward in a really positive way. But this has to do with your emotional life. I feel like on all levels, just like overall you and your emotional body, but also your, you know, all sorts of the relationships in your life, not only, you know, romantic partnerships, but friends, family, all sorts of things are improving. And what's happening is that I feel like there's this opening happening. It's been happening for a while for a lot of you, where you are opening up yourself and trusting more of your instincts, trusting life, trusting people around you a little bit more. And there's this, as I said, this opening up, because remember, one of the things that you're, you know, trying to do in this lifetime is you are trying to limit some of the stagnation of that Taurus South Node or second house South Node, which can be very kind of keep you kind of stuck in the mud and mire. And so I feel like there's movement forward, but particularly on the emotional side of life. Now, how this is going to happen is it's happening. I feel like for most of you, it's been happening for a while, but I think it's like just little things you could see that are improving. It's because you are going into and you're not detaching yourself anymore from situations that seemed like overly emotional or overly, you know, sticky. It's almost like, you know, you're facing these things head on and you're going into them, as opposed to just like walking away from them. Here, we'll look at some timeline cards here and we'll get some more clarity. Okay, so you've got on the timeline cards, you've got the 6 of Swords reversed, and you've got the 4 of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the 2 of Swords reversed. Now, all of these cards are positive, because some cards are positive when they're reversed, and these are definitely. One of the things about this 6 of Swords is that you, in the past, what you've done is you've moved away from things that seemed too complicated, overly, you know, dramatic and all of that, and just like, I don't want to deal with it type of a thing. And what you've started to do is learn more to like, wait, let me like look at this, instead of like walking away from something that seemed like you didn't want to deal with it. It was like, I don't want to deal with it, but now you're starting to say like, no, I'm going to deal with it. And you're seeing the benefits from that. So it doesn't mean that you are attracted to drama, because none of us are, but in the sense that sometimes there's things we just have to kind of dive into and explore more. And I feel like that's one of the things that you've learned to do. Now, this opening up process is shown by these 2 cards here. You've got the 4 of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the 2 of Swords reversed. You know, both of these cards, if you look at them, they have some kind of similar meanings, because you've got this 2 of Swords here where, you know, the woman is having the swords of the intellect and the mind crossing over her solar plexus and heart, guarding it, like she's being cut off, and also the blindfold is keeping her away from, you know, this body of water, which is her own intuition and instincts, okay? And then, you know, so when it's reversed, it's like, okay, I'm opening up, I'm investigating my life, and I'm approaching my life with an open heart, with my intuition, and no matter what I see, I'm going to keep open. And the same thing with this this Four of Pentacles here. You can see that, you know, the person has the Pentacles, which, by the way, rules your South Node of Taurus and the second house, and or the second house. You know, they're crossing their bodies. Everything, like the material world, is just covering them. Like, I'm safe as long as I have my material needs all around me. I'm protected. I'm cut off in a way. But again, this is reversed. So this is that opening that I'm seeing. You're beginning to open yourself up in ways, and you're seeing the benefits of doing so, okay? And when you do that, what you do is you learn more about who you are as a person, the people in your life. You learn more. You learn more about your situation. So, like, that's the benefit of doing it, because there are times in our life when, yes, we should just kind of keep things at the surface level. There's no need for us to constantly go deep into every single thing in our life. But the danger is that if we always keep things just on the surface, like, I don't want to deal with anything complex, I don't want to deal with anything that seems, you know, sticky or over emotional, you know, I don't want to deal with that. And so if we live our life like that, we're not really connected at a deep level, which is one of the things you're here to do in this lifetime. So the benefit is you learn more about your life. You learn more about, like, what it is you're here to do. Now, your advice cards are, you've got the Hermit reversed, and you've got the Seven of Cups upright. So the Hermit reversed, what this is that this is coming up a lot, actually, for this month, for a lot of the North nodes. The Hermit, actually, is one of the meanings of the Hermit is, you know, you think of the archetype of the wise man or the wise woman who goes off up into the mountain to live in a cave, and, you know, has all of this inner wisdom that they've taken from their life experience. Or we have the wise woman that lives in the forest alone, who's a healer, and who, you know, people can go for advice, right? That's the archetype. But the negative side of the archetype is it's being detached from the world. It's like going off, you know, we can actually be living in a city, and we could be living a negative side of that archetype, meaning that we're detached from the real actual world. Like, there's people, as I said, they could be living in the city, and they're just like living in their own quote unquote personal cave, where they're like kind of like cut off. And so what wants to happen here is, what you're learning is, you're learning to dive into life again, to engage with life in its real forms, you know, coming down off that mountain, and you're learning to really approach life in a way where, you know what, I'm not going to walk away from anything. I'm going to face everything head on. And there's a time in our life when, you know, we need to be the hermit, and we need to go up into the mountain and detach from the world. And then there's definitely time in this lifetime where we need to, like, engage with the world. And that's what I see a lot of you doing. Now, what's going to happen here is the Seven of Cups is, after, what do you do after you engage with the world? What is, after you engage in your life and you're really diving into it, you're going to have emotional choices. And what you want to do here, which is really important, and this is getting back to your theme card of the Knight of Cups, is you want to go inside intuitively and ask yourself what choices to make. Because essentially what this is doing is, this is training you to find your answers within yourself, within your emotional body. You ask yourself, how do I truly feel about this? Should I make this decision? Should I move there? Should I go with this person? Should I go into that job? Okay. And you don't try to figure it out through the mind, but you go using your intuition. Because all of you that have this North Node, whether you know it or not, you are deeply intuitive. And that's a gift that you need to tap more into. And as you leave that, the structures of the earth sign Taurus in the second house, when you leave those structures and you open yourself up, now it's the time to go within and find your answers, okay? And so you're going to have emotional choices to make this month, through the whole month, and through the rest of the year. And so the way you're going to make them is you're going to feel them, and they're going to feel right to you, okay? And that's the true value and kind of key to doing this. But yeah, very, very transformative month. Take all the opportunities to engage with the world, engage with situations in your life, and you're going to see that your life is going to start to even transform more, and then make the choices that you really connect to at a deep intuitive level. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Sagittarius and or the 9th house. Okay, interesting. The theme card that popped out for you is the Knight of Swords upright. And we know the ruling planet for Sagittarius and or the 9th house is the planet Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion. It's the largest planet in our solar system. And it's always about, as I said, expansion and growth. And some of the things that Jupiter has been doing lately in the astrology is really affecting you North Nodes in, Sagittarius or the 9th house. And I feel like you're in this time of expansion where you can really make improvements in your life. And what this card is saying is that for each of you, there's areas of your life that you're being asked to take action and move toward. Like now is the time to do certain things in your life and move toward something. It could be multiple things, goals, better relationships, health, a job change or career change, or enhancing the one you have. Anything in your life that you want to improve and expand in a positive way is kind of there for you right now. But it's saying, like, if you've been thinking about like whether or not to do something or not to do something, this is a time of kind of taking advantage of this energy and this action. Because a lot of times what can happen when you have a South Node in Gemini and or the 3rd house, there could be some indecision because I can't decide. I could do this, I could do that. And it's similar to a very much, not exactly, but similar to like a Libra South Node energy, because it's like in this, instance, there's so much knowledge that you have of a situation, you could like overthink things is what I'm saying, okay? But this is the time to kind of move forward. Now, where it's heading on your timeline here is you've got, at the top here, you've got this Queen of Wands, okay? This card is representing your South Node. Now, this card, the Queens, as I always say, all of the court cards, the King, Queen, Pages, and Knights, are not sex or gender specific, okay? So the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands are just different flavors of the energy. So you could be any sex or gender and have the Queen represented. But what this is the difference between the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands energy-wise is that this is a more kind of internal expansion as opposed to outward expansion. So like, for example, if you think of an actual king who would be the King of Wands, the expansion for them might be to extend their kingdom in some sort of an outward campaign, okay? The Queen of Wands is, let's say she's an actual queen, might expand her kingdom from within, meaning how can she approve or improve the life of her subjects within her kingdom. So it's a different kind of energy and flavor. And that's what it is you're doing, is you're moving towards something toward improving your life and taking advantage of this kind of energy right now that's happening. Now, your other timeline cards, you've got the Three of Swords reversed, and you've got the Five of Pentacles reversed. So, this is representing kind of two different areas that could be affected in your life. We'll take the emotional side, okay? The Three of Swords reversed is saying, like, this is a time when we can improve and heal our current relationships and also heal our past relationships or our perception of past relationships. So there's a lot of emotional healing that can happen right now. And so, like, for example, the way this could play out is you might have a situation where you have that heart-to-heart talk with a family member or a friend, or a couple may decide that they really want to work on their relationship and they decide to, go to counseling or something to that effect, or just talking more and getting real. So there's a lot of emotional healing that can happen, and that you should be encouraged, if this is an area of your life that, could be helped by this, to kind of start going for it. And then this Five of Pentacles is saying that, like, this is the help that is there for you. It's almost like a lot of you didn't realize that how much help there was around you, not only from, people and situations and resources around you, but just from the universe in general. And it's like this is taking advantage of the benefits that are around you, like especially with all of the things that are going on with Jupiter right now and this expansion energy. It's like, jumping on this expansion train, right? And so you're going to see that there's a lot around you this first half of May that can help you. And I feel like a lot of you are growing in that way. The other thing about the Pentacles here is that a lot of you are having, situations where you want to increase money and finances and things of value, tangible value in your life, like maybe saving up money or buying that home or starting that business, anything that has to do with money and finances. And this is also kind of a positive time for that. And we'll get more into that as we look at your advice cards. So you've got the Nine of Cups reversed, and you've got the Six of Pentacles reversed. So what the Nine of Cups here reversed is saying is it's tying into, this Five of Pentacles, in the sense that this is the time for a lot of you have been putting things off, and you haven't been moving for one reason or another, not moving in a direction. Like, you've thought about going in a certain direction, starting that business, improving that relationship, getting physical and emotional healing. You've just been kind of putting things off because you couldn't decide what way to take. And this Nine of Cups is saying it's time to now, go for what you want, because I feel like there's been this hesitation, and you're being asked to not hesitate anymore, to really kind of take bold action. In this lifetime, you are going to be rewarded for taking action, as long as you take a direction that is intuitively important to you, but intuitively it kind of resonates with you, okay? That's one of the things that the gifts you have, which is a lot of people are unknown to these gifts that have this North Node, but you're highly intuitive. So make sure that you go for what it is you truly, what sparks your, your inspiration and your creativity to create the life you want. That's something to where, you would definitely want to take advantage of that. And I think that that's one of the things that's also changing in a very positive way. And then this Six of Pentacles is again tying into this Five of Pentacles, because there are resources around you that you are unaware of. People and situations, like when you see things in a new way, you're going to see that there is resources, and there are resources that are available to you in people, in other situations, and it's a matter of just kind of opening up that intuition. And so you're going to start to see that they're around you this month, and that when you start to kind of tap into those resources, and you're able to go for what you truly want inside, it's going to feel right and it's going to feel good. I think when you start taking these actions and improving these areas of your life, I'm getting the feeling of like, it's just going to feel better and better day by day. The other thing that this Six of Pentacles is saying is, as you're doing this, it's really important for you to also have a attitude of kind of gratitude about things as you're going about this expansion. Because one of the things that can happen with a North Node in Sagittarius and or the ninth house is when you start to get on that manifestation train and you start to get on that growth train and you have that planet Jupiter and it's expanding in your life, it's really important in order to stay grounded is to keep that kind of gratitude and always remember like where you're going, but also where you've come from. Keeping you tied to that. It's almost like I always think of like, the Jupiter would be like a hot air balloon, or even just like a giant balloon. It keeps expanding and expanding and expanding, and it's not going to explode. It just keeps expanding, and it kind of can take you away. But just like a lot of times a hot air balloon might have its ties to the ground, or it has weights that can bring it back down, type of a thing. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting. Like, always keep that connection to where you've been, no matter how high you ascend, right? And that's very, very important, because sometimes, you can see that the other side of this is that you can ascend to such heights, you kind of forget, your way back home. And so always keep that kind of gratitude and that grounded, and remember where you've come from, because that'll always just kind of keep you very stable as you're doing this expansion. But yeah, really, really transformative, great month for you. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope this reading was valuable to you. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Capricorn and or the 10th house. So the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Queen of Swords. The court cards, as we call them, the king, queens, knights, and pages, can represent energies or actual people in our life. And I feel like this is representing an actual person in your life. It could be, anybody. It could be, someone you're in a close relationship with. It could be family. Could be a friend, a person you work with, a boss. I mean, it's going to be different for each of you, but it's an actual person. And I feel like this is representing something where a situation is going to come up this first half of May, and it's not going to feel great. It's going to be kind of challenging in the sense that the word that I keep feeling with this Queen of Swords is cold. Okay, kind of like something really cold. And I feel like you're being tested and challenged. So there could be a situation where someone says or does something to you that you find very cold or not fair, and it's not making you feel great. Okay. And this is coming up for a very specific reason, which we're going to get into. But some of the energies that I can come up with this, and I'm kind of feeling, is like things, communication that was said that didn't make you feel good, or some action that was taken. Now, the Queen card, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a female, okay? Because the court cards, the kings and queens, and all of the tarot can be, any gender or sex, okay? It's just a different flavor. I would say that the difference in this case between, let's say, the reversed Queen of Swords and the reversed King of Swords is this card could be a little bit more kind of under the radar and shady, as opposed to just, the King card, which is just like out and out kind of negativity, okay? So this is actually a positive. You're going to go through this, and I'm going to tell you what you're being told to do and how to handle it, right? So your timeline cards are, you've got the Four of Swords, reversed. You've got the Three of Swords reversed. And you've got the World card reversed. Now I'm going to start with the World card. The World card is positive in its reversed state, but it's like a delayed energy. It's like the world that you want to live in, your ideal world, is there for you, but there's things that have to happen. There's things that you need to do in order to achieve it. It's much like, as I always explain, the Sun card when it's reversed. It's also positive, but it's like there's a delay or a cloud covering over the sun, okay? So this is positive. But what this is also saying is that if you can navigate this test that's coming up this second half or first half of May, I should say, if you can do that, it's something where you can level up in your life, okay? But it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I'm going to tell you how to get through it. What wants to happen is we're going to look at these two cards here, okay? You can see that this, Knight of Swords will start here. The Knight of Swords, when it's reversed, it's coming out of a period of inactivity. But more importantly, if you look at this card, you can see that, this card, all the cards have multi-layers of meaning. And one of the meanings of this card is a period of inactivity and or vulnerability, as opposed to not being vulnerable, okay? So what do I mean by that? You can see that this person, that this, it looks like a knight, they have some armor on here, but they're laying down and the swords on top are coming down toward them, okay? Now, a lot of this is mental, okay? Obviously, it's not physical. This is like mental swords coming down on them, but they're vulnerable. They're laying down, they're in a prone position, and these swords are coming down, as opposed to the reversed way that you have it here, which is now the armor is up here and it's more prominent, and now you're on top of things, okay? That's one of the things that you're learning in this lifetime. Is always remember, you Cancer South nodes, okay, Capricorn North nodes, and or 10th house North nodes, you have a natural emotional intelligence and emotional beauty within you, but it can make you too vulnerable sometimes to being overly sensitive, right? So one of the things you're learning to do is being able to kind of, you could think of, growing armor on yourself, okay? Remember, the planet that rules your North node, Saturn, okay, rules also the bones, the structure, okay? It's the hardest part of the body, the thing that keeps the body together. The rib cage protects the organs and the heart, okay? This is what you're learning to do, is you're learning to kind of grow this armor. And the key here is not to, in the process of doing that, to become insensitive, because this happens a lot of times. I've seen this before where you have people that are, North nodes in Capricorn and or the 10th house, and they do really well, almost too well, in getting tough and growing armor, but then they grow so much armor that they block off that beautiful kind of heart and energy and emotional intelligence. So what this is saying is, what you're being asked to do is, when this situation happens and there's something where a text comes in, an email comes in, or a face-to-face conversation, and it doesn't feel good, you're being asked to stand your ground, stand up for yourself. But it's going to hurt. That's okay. But you can't let it be a wounding that brings you down. You have to kind of rise above it. Now, that's also what this Three of Swords is saying, reversed is saying, is you want to protect your heart, in the sense that, standing up for yourself and kind of standing your ground and letting, being strong for something that you believe in, okay? And it's a fine line of obviously, we need to keep our emotional life open and our hearts open, but you don't want it to be so open that you are wounded very easily. So this is definitely a chance to where, this is going to require some of you to do certain things. Maybe you have to stand your ground with something that you say back, or something that you do, or to get strong. And so that's all this is a heads up to make sure that you are standing strong. Okay. Now here's some advice cards. We'll kind of get more into this whole situation. So you've got the Knight of Swords upright, and you've got the Page of Cups. Okay. This is what I was talking about standing your ground. The Knight of Swords is saying that, particularly when this comes in, think of how you can respond in a way, particularly communication-wise. Okay? Because a lot of you, I know you North Nodes in Capricorn and or the 10th house, when something happens and you are affected emotionally, especially through words or communication, you can't think of a response a lot of times, or a good response, because you are so affected with what has happened, And I know this because I've talked to people that have this North Node, right, where it's like, that's where it can be a detriment, where you feel it so deeply that you don't have a correct response. And then maybe an hour later or a day later, you're like, why didn't I do this or say that, right? So that's the value in kind of, you feel something that comes in, and then you put that armor on. Okay, so you felt it, you let it go through you, but you put the armor on, and now it's time for you to respond in the moment. So what I want you to do is, I want you to, when you have a situation where you are being kind of confronted with something that you don't feel is fair and that is cold, I want you to be able to respond in the moment, okay? And that is, it's hard to respond correctly when we're in our emotional state. So it's like you have to let it go through, and now bring the energy up into the mind, and you need to respond some way, communication wise. Now, this is going to be difficult, but doing this, as I said, is really going to help your future. And this is a really big test of kind of growing that armor, as I said. Now, the Page of Cups, this is saying what I was saying before, which is, at the same time, you don't want to lose, because the first time someone does this, and let's say they grow armor, and they feel powerful, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, okay, I can do this now. And you start standing up for yourself, and someone says or does something to you, and then you stand up. It could be like a power trip. And what can happen is, you can go further, and you could go to the dark side, which you lose that, beautiful kind of emotional tenderness. And I don't want you to lose that. I want you, that's what this Page of Cups is saying, is always keep that beautiful, emotional, tender heart. Just make sure that you can protect it. And in the moment, cover it up so you can respond properly to situations, and not be, regretting, like, why didn't I say or do this, like a day or 2 days later, right? And so, as I said, the important thing is that it's this balance, okay? That's what we're all learning in our North Nodes and South Nodes, is we're learning to balance them, right? But as I said, the positive thing is, this can really level you up. So I've given you a heads up. Watch this whole month, but especially the first half of May, for something that comes up emotionally, and it hits you, feel it, and then all of a sudden you're putting on your armor. You are the knight now, and you are not going to let that go unnoticed. Now, however you need to respond verbally, again, you want to do that with intelligence. You want to respond in a way that is accurate. Okay, you don't want to, I always like to say, if someone smacks you with a fly swatter, you don't want to get a cannon out. Okay, you want to match the energy. Okay, and that takes finesse. It takes intelligence. Okay, it takes some thought. So make sure that you don't just say, you don't overdo it. Okay, and when it comes up, you know what I mean? You're going to be ready for it. So just be ready for when someone does something. Have a good way to respond. Always remember, it's good to respond in a little bit more of a subtle way at first, you know, just to kind of like let someone know that you're displeased with something they said or did. And then you can kind of like go up from there, that type of a thing. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart or your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Aquarius and or the 11th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Knight of Pentacles reversed. Now, anytime you see a card on the tarot that has a horse on it, like all of the knights, they're cards of movement, okay? And the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest of all knights. It represents all of the earth signs. There's some area in your life or areas of your life that you've been feeling stuck in, okay? For some of you, it's in like relationships and or job. For some of you, it could be like money and finances. It just seems a little like stagnant and stuck. But I feel like you are able to begin in the first half of May to begin to start to transform that. Some of you are already beginning to transform it. And the way that's happening, I feel like you're getting unstuck in some way, but there is like kind of more work that needs to be done. Let's look at your timeline cards to see how you're going to get unstuck. So you've got the Death card reversed. You've got the 7 of Wands upright, and you've got the 8 of Cups upright. So we'll start with the Death card reversed. Now, obviously, I always talk on my channel. The Death card, it represents transformation. All of the so-called scary cards are talking about, you know, energies. Okay, they're talking about death is about there's part of you that is transforming. The old you that was you is in the process, and you've been in this transformation stage. You're learning that, you know, when you are able to transform certain areas of who you are in your life, then that transforms your life and you go into a positive direction. And so I feel like maybe some of you have been resisting change for a while for whatever reason, because we can get stubborn and we stay in, you know, certain patterns. But I feel like the most part, like you are coming out of something and realizing, okay, I need to transform this in my life. And the reason I say that is this 7 of Wands here. You know, this is about facing challenges, but having the ability to not only face challenges, but to overcome them. And that's what I see a lot of you doing. I see you being able to like face things that are difficult, and you're in the process now of overcoming those challenges. And, you know, so you're in the process of this, okay? And there's work that needs to be done. But the end result is after you face these challenges, you're able to emotionally make sense of things and you're moving in a new direction. So this is where the transformation happens emotionally. You face the challenge, and a lot of you are doing that right now. And then you make sense of it in your life emotionally. And it's okay, I'm able to go in this new direction. Particularly when it comes to money and finances, what you're learning is you're learning two things. You're learning that we look at these advice cards with the Justice card here, and you've got the Page of Pentacles. You're learning that it's if you approach money and finances in a way that is very logical and look at things from all the different angles, okay? Like you're judging things from an angle of weighing things out, like, okay, if I do this will happen type of a thing. Because a lot of you weren't really looking at wealth and money and finances in the way that it should be looked at. We were looking at it from more of an emotional standpoint, okay? And so one of the things you're learning is there's a very practical way to look at things. And that's what Justice is saying. This is the ability to like analyze and look at different things in your life. That's one of the things that's transforming. Now, the other thing that's transforming, you know, in your life is you're learning the value of keeping that emotional side of yourself open here with this Page of Pentacles, where you're looking at the tangible things in your life in a different way. Like, I feel like the Page of Pentacles is like you had this emotional charge regarding money, finances, your life, things of value, your time, and you were looking at it in a certain way, in an emotional way that wasn't helping you. And so now what you're doing is you're looking at different things in your life. And I think that the first half of May, you're going to have these like kind of awakenings of how can you transform areas of your life in a very tangible way. And I feel like there's improvement there. But see, the key here is that it's this combination of emotions and thought that are going to, get you to overcome these different challenges. And I feel like I can see this improvement where you're going in a new direction. A lot of you are making decisions about what direction to take. And that direction is going to be a combination of what it is, you emotionally are attracted to in the direction you want to take, but also what makes the most kind of sense to you. And I feel like the other thing that's happening here too is that with this Justice card is you're being rewarded for making these changes and this transformation. That's another meaning of this Justice card, because as we go toward our highest path and we make the transformations necessary, one of the things that I've noticed is we get these rewards from the universe. Like, it's almost like you could say like things start going your way. One of the meanings of the Justice card is, fairness, right? But life tends to be, as we move toward our highest path, tends to be more fair to us. Like we get breaks given to us, and it's a very kind of a magical thing. And that's one of the things that you're going to experience now is as you're transforming these things in your life that are so important, you're getting unstuck, and you're realizing, I'm approaching things in a different way. I'm challenged with things, but I'm willing to face those challenges. And as you overcome them, what you're going to notice is you're going to get these benefits kind of coming in from the universe, where they're going to give you, as best I can say it, is like breaks. You just see doors open easier. You could just see like more opportunities coming in. And so, yeah, this is a big area of life. But as I said, not only money and finances, but these are anything that you have of value. That it could be like, your relationships. It could be your time, your love, anything, your health, even anything of value is going to start to improve now. And it's because you're making these important changes. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Fool card. And the Fool card is an amazing card. One of the misconceptions about this card is, people think of a fool as being like, an idiot or the fool, like a jester or something to that effect. But really what this card is that this is representing like a childlike enthusiasm or exuberance or like new beginnings. It's kind of like one of the ways I describe it is like when we were all younger, how we had like a, pie in the sky, like a, rose-colored glasses view of life, like, life was like a bowl of cherries or whatever. And that, we just needed to kind of like dream, and we had these great aspirations. Okay. Now that's something that part of us that we should never lose. And that's really a good way to describe one of the energies of like Pisces North Node, or 12th house compared to Virgo or the 6th house. Because Virgo would be like, what's practical, what makes sense, what do I need to do step by step type of a thing. And what I'm seeing for you, North Nodes in Pisces under the 12th house, is there is a balancing and a dropping off of a lot of your South Node tendencies. This has been going on for a while, but I really feel like the first half of May and really through the whole month, especially as we get into summer, it's like losing some of the negativity of that South Node in Virgo or the 6th house. And it's like, one of the ways that this can play out is when someone wants to do something, like let's say a person has an aspiration, oh, I want to do this, I want to start this business, or I want to go into this career, or I want to, achieve something. And then, the Virgo side of life could say like, well, how are you going to do that? Do you have enough money and finances? How is this practical? How are you going to have the time? All of these things, okay, we need a balance. We need to actually have planning and organization. Okay, all of that's important. But that can bog us down where we're getting so much into the minutia of details, it can keep us from being inspired, okay? So really what I see happening right now is I see this balancing going on between this beautiful inspiration that's coming from your North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house, but balancing it out with that Virgo, but really kind of not letting that Virgo side kind of take control. And what it's doing is it's freeing you. So I see this kind of new beginning and new way of being. A lot of these like Virgo tendencies kind of like dropping off from you. Now we'll look at your timeline cards and we'll get some more clarity here. So we've got the 4 of Pentacles upright. We've got the 3 of Pentacles reversed, and we've got the 2 of Swords reversed. So starting with the 4 of Pentacles, okay? The first thing that happens is, you see that this person is holding pentacles. They're under their feet, on top of their head, over their body, and it's like they're covered in that. But what do pentacles represent? Yes, they represent money and property and things of value. But what they are also not tangible things of value, things that are intangible, like our love, our time, what it is that inspires us, things that we love, things that we find valuable. And one of the things that's happening here is that I feel like for some of you, you are going into this phase where you are being inspired by the things that you love. You're having this, you're letting go where you're not saying like, oh, well, I'll do it in the future because it's not really practical right now, or I'll like hold off on doing this because of blah, 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 right? But you're actually like, what is it that you truly love? And you're bringing it close to you. Okay, so that's one of the ways that this is happening for you, is you're seeing what it is that you truly love and value in life and in the situations around you, and you're embracing those things, and that's helping to keep you kind of inspired and moving forward in this new direction. The other thing that's happening here is it's interesting with this 3 of Pentacles. You could see here, this is reversed, right? But you could see that the card in its upright position, and you could see that there is an artisan that is working on stonework, and there are 2 people that are observing the person working, right? Now, what this means in its, reverse state for your reading here is being worried about criticized or looked at by other people in what you do, but also this has to do with the inner critic. That the inner critic, one of the things that you're releasing more and more is that inner critic. You're giving that up because, as I said, like one of the things we notice when we're younger, right, is, when you have childlike exuberance, no one has an inner critic. They're not saying like, they're just like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to do this or that. And, whether that happens or not, they don't all of a sudden say, well, wait, how am I going to go through college and pay, that's that inner critic. And as adults, we have that. We have these ideas, things we want to do, but then the inner critic comes in. And also the outer critic, meaning that we could care about what other people think about what we're doing. And so I think that that's one of the things that you're releasing right now too, is you're releasing the critic in your life, whether that be the inner critic or the outer critic. And now this Two of Swords, again, this is saying about this opening up, okay? One of the things that you're opening to is, you could see the card here, there's this huge body of water behind this person, okay, which is representing that Pisces 12th house north node, which is the universe, which is the deep inner workings of your subconscious mind, okay, everything that has to do with all of the mysteries of life, okay. You're now opening yourself up to all of this, but particularly your own intuition and your intuitive guidance, okay. And that's why this card is reversed, is no more are you letting the planet Mercury, which is ruling your south node, you're not letting that, the intellect and mind and analyzing rule your life. You're letting, your intuition, your heart, your inner guidance is coming in, as opposed to the inner critic. And I guess that would be the crux of this reading. Think of the inner guidance that you're following as opposed to the inner or outer critic. Okay, that is really what is happening right now. And you're learning more and more. Now, different ones of you are at different levels at this, but you're all kind of moving toward that. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Knight of Cups reversed, and you've got the Five of Wands upright. This is saying that, look, there is more work to do here, okay? And there's something to where you want to keep this process going. There could be like challenges that come up from time to time, because that, Virgo South Node or 6th house South Node could come in, where that inner critic or overanalyzing or hyper-focusing on things can come in, and it's something that is a constant thing that you have to guard against. And the way you guard against it is this Knight of Cups is saying, always remember that, your life, if I had to sum up what the North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house would be, okay, would be, you're on this magical journey. You're on this magical quest in life of things that are not easily known, hidden things, of magical things, okay, things that are, secrets of the universe, things that are that can't be analyzed and put under a microscope. Okay, everything, this is the journey that you're on, and it's always important that you don't let the mind or that over focusing or analyzing come in. And so, because when that comes in, what happens is the journey ends. That's why this card is ending, in the sense that you go back on back into the south node mode, okay. And so that's really what's happening with this, is that as long as realize that is going to be when that inner critic or that Virgo south node comes in, you gotta fight against it, and you gotta get back into the exuberance of the magical side of life, what it is you want, the life you create. Remember, one of the key things for you is partnering up with the universe. You are a co-creator of your life with the universe. That's one of the gifts that you've been given in this lifetime. So what does that mean? That means, meditation, mantras, affirmations, working with the universe on, the subconscious level, okay, listening to your dreams, following your inner guidance, all of those things that are not of a practical nature, okay, are going to help you. And as you continue to strengthen that, and you quash that inner critic and outer critic, you're going to find that this inner guidance is going to come up, and it'll always be true for you. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings.